grab it here. So now we're going to look into how we can upgrade one of my machines. This is a off-the-shelf HP gaming machine. It's been around for several years, and the reasoning behind upgrading this is that if you've been watching hardware reviews, it's been a bit depressing nowadays when it's like $1,000 plus graphics cards and $500 plus processors and $300 plus motherboards. So really any sort of concept of building a new machine right now, and even the off-the-shelf machines mainly to the graphics processors costs is a little bit beyond budget right now, and this is a good machine. This has served its purpose because it can do it can do 1080p gaming quite well. But if you look at it from a current specs perspective, then it's a bit limited. So it only has a 120 gig main drive SSD, and that's a bit too small. And then it has only 8 gig so memory. So what I thought is that we would look into upgrading. So I'm going to swap out the main system drive with this one here, which is a 1 terabyte SSD. Okay, a little bit under, but and then we're going to swap out the memory with a new pair. Just a little bit of a comment. This uses DDR4, and it's got 1 stick in the machine, and the problem is that it's kind of recommended to and that's why they always sell basically kits are always sold in pairs. It is that you should always make sure you have the same brand and the same memory DIMM in both of the sockets that you are going to populate. So it's not recommended. You could actually, it's more viable to that if you're putting in 2x2, if you have 4 slots, then that you put, if it already has 2, then you can actually just buy a pair. You don't need to like take out the pair that's already in there. But in this machine, it has 1 original DIMM, and then it becomes a little bit of a questionable thing if one puts in a random second DDR4 memory module that's not exactly the same brand and speeds and stuff. What will happen? So it'll probably work, but I'm not taking chance. And anyway, the reason I'm going for a memory upgrade and a storage upgrade is that I think these are fair cost. So I don't feel ripped off if I'm buying storage products or memory products, because I think that they are cost competitive as it is now. So anyway, let's take a look at this. So yeah, you're probably wondering why I put it down like this, but in this case I wanted to mention that, which is not really intuitive, is that the model number and other information about the unit is actually on the bottom here. So you can't, otherwise you can't find any indication of what the specific model number is, or other details. So here you have the sticker that gives you that information. So just wanted to mention that if you have a similar machine and you're looking around and you can't see anything, you don't know what model number, then remember to look underneath. And you might find like in this case, you might find a sticker that actually describes the model. I was able to very easily, just by using the search criteria, I added HP and then the model number, and then I searched in Google, and I was able to very easily find the specification for this, including the details for the expansion memory. So that was actually thanks to HP, it was actually really easy to find the information I needed. I mean, for the storage expansion, it's not so necessary to have extra technical details, but it is for the memory. You need to know what type of memory it is and what speed it is. And when it comes to the speed, basically DDR4 is built that if you take a faster DDR4 module and you plug it into a slower DDR4 slot, then it will auto downclock to the speed. So theoretically speaking, everything's okay as long as you're putting, if it requires DDR4, you're putting in DDR4. I mean, the only thing you theoretically lose is but from a cost perspective, it doesn't matter. The DDR4 is so cheap that you can't even buy the slower DDR4 memory modules anymore, really, practically speaking. But when you go buy, if you have an older machine and you go buy from the shop, you go pick up from a local dealership or whatever, the DDR4, it's going to be faster DDR4 than what you actually have in the machine. But that shouldn't be an issue. And we'll see what will happen when we upgrade this, if it still works. So this machine is very easy to take the cover off. You just one thumb screw, pull that out, and then you have access to the insides. It does have a little bit of a diagram. I'm just trying to explain a little bit about the storage layout, physical storage implementation, but it has no information about the memory slots. So let's see here. Put it like that, maybe we can show. So anyway, the storage is here. So the top one is in its own HP custom physical mount to get the SSD in place, and then it has a 1 terabyte extra data drive. And then let's see. The memory is just in the side here. So there's the memory slot. So it's got one populated and one free. So I'm just going to slot in the memory. Take these memory modules and insert them in there. I can't film that very well because it's too tight. Then we'll move on to the storage, and I want to keep the data that's on the boot drive because it's all the program installations and everything are there, and I don't want to lose those. So we're going to go through a process of actually installing this in the place of the data drive, and then we're going to copy over the system drive. But I'll take that one step at a time so you can see how that works. But anyway, first thing is to get the memory in place. Oh, I swapped to the cell phone. So anyway, I thought I'd just show a quick. Now these white ones here, they're tabs, so they need to be moved out. So as you see, it clicks out and clicks in, and then when you've got the module in place, you need to make sure that this is actually clicked back into the slot on the memory. So let's take this one out, one to the side, and then because it's DDR4, then this tab here can be a bit difficult to get. Well, it's actually nothing to do with DDR4, it's just that sometimes these tabs are a bit tight. There, I got it. And then I can just pull the memory module out. So here you see the slot where it's supposed to go in. And then this is generic memory, so now we'll get the new ones in. So anyway, it's good to have a anti-static wristband when one's dealing with memory, because they are a little bit sensitive sometimes. So that's the memory. So when you push it down, the new module, then it should go click and click, and then you should try with your finger to make sure that that tab is in place. And also if you have access, you should visually confirm that it's in place. I've had so many instances where I must admit that I haven't plugged it fully in, And then when I try to start the computer, then nothing happens. And then I've just gone in and pressed it in again, and then I can hear a very clear click. And then everything's been okay. So let's get the other one in. So that's the memory in place. That's 2 sticks. 8 gigs, so that's 16 gigs. Doubled the memory. So for storage, so what we're going to do is we're going to just put the SSD like that. So we're going to transfer the data and power cables over to the new SSD. So I'm going to disconnect that, move it in, and connect it into the SSD instead. So then we have the system disk as it was, and then we're going to have the new drive as a new data drive temporarily. Oh, that's the SSD plugged in, and since this is a fully protected unit, so it's covered from all sides, there's no risk for any short circuits or anything, so it can just chill there while we get to the software part. Okay, so I got it set up. I just put it behind the monitor because there's not enough desk space, but most important thing. So now we're just going to, so I plugged in everything, and now I want to see if it'll start with it. So it has the new memory, it has the new disk. So let's give it a try. And I think I've turned the monitor on. Oops. Very close to having a small panic. But anyway, that looks good. So that means the, well, I would guess the memory is working pretty good if it can get that far. Because now it's booting into Windows already. So the system disk is still plugged in and working. So what we want to see now is that that it boots into Windows. And then we're just going to go check and see that the disk turns on. This is hard to use. Right. Oh, it's blinding the cameras. So let's search for disk manager. So I just searched for disk manager, and now it should be asking for the extra disk. Initialize. Master boot record on that one. Actually, since we're going to be cloning the disk, it doesn't really matter what one. But I took it. Oh, let's put it on that. And then, what's that? Partition table, GUI ID partition table. So, and we won't format it or anything, but we'll just have to check. So here we have disk 0, disk 1, and it's reporting the correct size. So that's where we need to get to. Anyway, we can see that we have, I forgot to mention that actually we have the 16 gigs of memory, so that's at least positive. So actually I decided for this time around to actually go for the Kingston's own software. So it's the Kingston SSD manager, and when you download it and install it, then looks like this. And this is just to look at all the general information about the drive, but I won't go into those details. But if you go to the last page here, then you can actually click on the link to download this true image software. And now then it will point you to this page here. And I'll put the links in the comments. And then the software. And the software looks like this. And then when you go down to Tools, and then you have here disk cloning. And then just as a comment, I've stopped filming because when you click on that, then it tries to go and I think it downloads the software from the internet, so I don't have it installed by default. Okay. Automatic. Next. Well, that took a long time for this page to come up, so I don't know what it was doing. But anyway, it shows here, it says that it's going to copy from disk 1 and put it on disk 2, and this is the existing layout. It doesn't have any data on it. It's an empty disk, and then it's going to make it into this where it's going to put the partition in the beginning. As you see, that's the 120 gig, and then the rest is going to be free. Oh, then I need to mention that for these software components to install, you have to have, I would say, 5 gigs of empty disk space. So I actually had to, because it was completely, the 120 gig I have was completely full, so I actually had to desperately try and free up 5 gigs, around 5 gigs of disk space, just to get the cloning software installed. So let's I can't. Let's see, unlocated. Okay, that's just showing what the different things are, but I think that's okay. So then we'll just have to take the proceed. So, and yeah, come back when it's done, I suppose. So I just want to show it had a message up here, locking C drive, and that took quite a long time to complete, but now I actually have the progress bar, so it's presumably starting with the copying. Yeah, you can see it's starting there. I don't know, it's trying to calculate the remaining time, but I haven't got a figure yet. So it says 13 minutes remaining, so that's about 25 minutes, I would think, for the whole process. 120 gigs. Just about enough time to have some ice cream. Okay, that was a bit weird. It said 30 minutes left, and now it was like a minute later I got this. So here we see the disk manager, and it's thankfully as expected, so it's got basically the same partition layout, except of course the size of the Windows partition has been expanded to fill up the disk. So it's looking okay. So now we're just going to shut this down and do some disk swapping. So disconnected all the power and everything, so nothing running. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap to take the C SSD, and then I'm going to put the large one in its place. And to see. And then there's just a clip that you pull out, move to the side, and then you can pull this out. Ooh. Pull it out some more. So let's see if I can get it in the frame. just have to show like that. And then there's like 1, 2, 3, and then 4 screws. And then it's got some kind of an adapter board to move the connectors to a little bit more accessible place to be compatible with this rack they have. But this is a standard SSD. So I'll get that swapped out and replace it with the Kingston drive. So that's the disk installed. So I just need to get it into its rack. Well, that wasn't too bad. So now, yeah, just slipped it in, and then the cable's on, and then the cable's onto the data drive. And it should be done. So let's see if it'll start. Seems to be loading at least. Always a little bit of trepidation when you swap when you swap disks if everything's good. Okay, I don't know why it's reconfiguring. There is a new disk, so maybe it wants to put new drivers for the SSD or something. But yep, bingo. The disk manager. So we have 2 disks. One is this now expanded to 1 terabyte. It's a system drive, and then we have the data. Original data drive seems to be online also. So that's good, and we have the 16 gigs of RAM. So I think one could say that was a. See if we can readjust the camera so it doesn't get so blown out. Yeah, so well, yeah, that was a successful mission. So anyway, I hope this helps you if you need to also do an upgrade. And as I said, that I think storage and memory is worth investing in. The other parts are still a bit questionable, especially if you've got a machine that actually pretty much can still do what you need it to do, even when it comes to gaming. So I think you can get a little bit more performance. Also, newer SSDs tend to be a bit marginally faster than the ones that they used to pack in the off-the-shelf computers. So you might notice, you might be positively surprised. And memory is, of course, in some instances you actually put in faster memory, and it might be that they to make the overall kit, off-the-shelf kit, cheaper, than they put slower memory in it. So when you put the new memory in it might actually work at a higher clock speed. Not in, I don't think in this case, because they actually said what the clock speed was. But and the memory in it was according to that clock speed. But yeah, might always be lucky. So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.